Hey everybody, Embrix here, and today I'll be reviewing the Mega Construx Halo Breacher Exosuit. Now, I know this set has been out for a long time, presumably a year, but I wanted to take a look at it as, it continues the whole Halo Infinite, Halo Wars 2 Banish theme. Now, I feel like this is a good sort of predecessor or a good alternative to the Decimus Exosuit from the Frostraven Takedown, I believe was what that set was called. And, if you don't have that high of a budget and, if you can actually find one of them not too high for price, I feel like this is a good alternative for the two. I know it's been going for $2 at Target, like $2 to $3 in some stores, but for the original price at $10 to $15, I think it works good. Now, most of the exosuits have their own unique weapons, like the Skyfire had the dual pistols and the jetpack. The Mark I prototype, I believe is what it was called, had all those missiles and rockets. Now, this one is a little bit more unique, as this one has a big old energy shield, which I think the design of looks very cool. It's got like this big old, sort of like a little base, and then you just layer it on top with all these translucent red pieces that makes it look like it's plasma, some sort of plasma, kind of like Atriox's chain mace, which I think looks very nice. You can just tab that on, two little holes right there, and then put it on, and it looks very nice, It's pretty big, it's not very small, so, it can actually cover him in case, he needs to be covered. And then he has a big old gravity hammer, or axe, as some people I think like to call it, like a little axe right here, if you switch it around. I think this does have a striking resemblance to an actual minifigure gravity hammer. As you can see, it's got the big old bulky part right there, as well as right here. And then the blade on the back, it's pretty similar with the whole shape and design part, as well as the handle that would go on top, and the bottom, which again is just a pole so it can be connected. The connection is a little loose right here, as it is a round piece on the inside, so it does move side to side like that. I don't know if that was intentional. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It's just the design, so I think that's good. But one thing that I did have to change is this little sloped piece. It was actually on the top, so here, I'll just show you guys. It would look like, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. This is a little fragile, as it is a small sort of scale. But, if you're not bumping into it too much, like I just did, I doubt it'll fall or break like so. Here you go. But this is how it would look like if you built it the way the instructions showed it. But I just like to take this slope piece and move it down, and I think that looks way more like a normal gravity hammer, not like that little weird top thing, as it doesn't really fit in well, but anyway. As far as printed details, which I'm Mega Blocks, Mega Construx, however you want to call it now, doesn't use stickers anymore, so you have these prints, which is, in my opinion, way better than Lego, because sometimes they do put a lot of stickers. But here on the little bottom of the legs, you do have the red crimson armor with this whole sort of weathering battle damage. I think it looks very cool. Only problem is that they reused the piece, so they reused the print. As you can tell, the print is the same on both legs. Kind of weird, but again, also nice. Another thing I would have liked is these holes to be filled in with like the little pauldrons, not pauldrons, little knee pads that, for example, the Skyfire one had. And it also would have made it a little bit less gappy, so I think that's pretty cool. But, yeah, they definitely need to try and do something else for that. I know a lot of people say that the feet are so tiny, if they could hold the thing up, and it works fine. So that's just one note going out there. But then the rest of the printed details would be right here on the chest. It's got like these little outlines around it, and big old mark right here. But I'm going to be honest, it looks like just a piece of shattered glass that they just put on there. Because, if you would take like a weapon and tried shooting at it, I don't think it would make like a mark that big. It would have been cool if they scratched it up on the inside so it actually looked like weathering and not just a big old like painted silver blob. So that's all I'm going to say for that. And then the helmet is the same from the brute figure, as there is a figure inside. That is why it's an exosuit. But yeah, unlike the Mark I prototype, it doesn't have like an extra helmet. This is just the standard removable Halo Wars 2, not Halo Infinite based Brute mold. He also has a backpack, which I know a lot of the other ones had. This one looks kind of like a jump pack, like a Brute jump pack, and these look like the little winglets on the back. Got these little sloped pieces to give it that little sort of booster or air vent theme. And what helps it even more is the actual air vent on the back. If you don't like it, you can just take it off. It's just the way they're built. It's not like a molded piece in there, so I think that's very cool. Now, taking the figure out is going to be a little harder, but before we do that, we're going to take a look at the articulation, which here for the head, it's the standard figure ball joint, but since it's all bulked up and reuses a Decimus suit piece, it doesn't get too much range, and as well, the helmet is pretty bulky. Then, the hinges right here are actually connected on the inside as the arms, as you can see. So the hinges from the arms move when you move these hinges right here. So I think that's very cool. One problem that I did find is that when you move these too much, the little chest piece that holds the figure and these parts in will come off, but I think that's just my copy, as you know, Mega does have some quality control issues from time to time. But I think this is cool, you know. And then on the sides of his shoulders, he has these big old spikes. I think it looks cool to give him a more armored look. Then for his sort of elbow joint, he does have a little ball joint right there. And what I found interesting is that it looks like it's a swivel right here, but the reason that it's like that is because if you would take the shield, it has to be pegged in on this side, right? But if you swivel it around, you can just plug it in, and as you can see, as this form, if you leave it like it tells you in the instructions, it can't go in all the way. But if you turn it around so it's facing like this way, you can just plug it in and it goes all the way. Only problem is that the little post right here on the shield is on the bottom. I don't know exactly why they did that and why they couldn't just put this or make it big enough so that the whole peg hole actually fit in. Now it's kind of stuck in there, but it'll come off. I've done this plenty times before. Then there's also, for the hands, there's a little swivel right here, due to the fact that it's just pinned in. So, talking about the hands, they are the same piece. Like I said, kind of like the legs, but they are the same piece, so it doesn't matter if you put it right or left, they're the same piece. Not articulated, but at the scale, I didn't expect them to. I'll leave it on like that for now. Another thing I found interesting is that for the legs, they are on like the ball joint connected to its own legs, the minifigure's legs. But if you move it out, it moves out. But this is if you're working to get it out, because due to the fact that he has these big old bulky armored legs, because he is a brute, sometimes it only goes about that far, and sometimes it just goes about that far. Right now, as you can see, I'm pulling it. It's not really coming out. But if you work with it, it goes even farther. It is a little limited, but what can you expect at this small of a scale? It's not like if you remove the figure, you would get way more articulation. Back, as far as you can go back, it's not too much. Forward, this is a lot. You know, you can get him into a whole kick pose if you wanted to. You wouldn't need a stand to stand him up. That would not leave him balanced. A ball joint right here, which also counts as a swivel, as you can tell. Little ball joints. Just plug them back in. So it's not really going to break on you. What I fear the most might break are these little pegs right here where you connect the hand. I mean the little shoulder, because they are on clips. And clips are known to break whether it's Mega or Lego. So, and then for the feet, both feet are identical. Again, there's no left or right difference for these, however. But you do have ball joint, which does allow for some tilt. If you wanted to, tilt. I keep popping this off. Tilt and up, back, side to side. Now taking the figure, which is I think the hardest part, is either taking it or taking it out. So, you know, to do that, all you want to do is just take off the chest, which is on these 4 pegs right in the inside. And you are going to want to take off the whole legs, which is a little hard. I don't know why it's not really coming off. There we go. Do the same for the other one. It kind of got stuck on the big old boot. Put this back together right here. All right. And then you're going to see he's just got these big old arms. what we're going to do for that, and his helmet accidentally came off, forgot to put it back on. There you go. What you want to do is you want to take these whole clips off, so if you want to have the figure out, you do have to worry that these aren't going to break on you. And then, you know, just lift these so that you can see the whole figure, and you can see how he fits in. These just, you know, connect on here like that with these little pegs, and you have to make sure that they're aligned so that when you do put them on, they're not going to interfere with the articulation. So that's one thing that I do recommend you worry. So yeah, and then you just pull them out. And he does come with the armor. I'm just going to move this out of the way for now. He does come with the armor and all the basic figure accessories. As you can tell, he does come with the minifigure stand that is basic throughout these whole Mega Constructs, and I'm pretty sure Mega Blocks didn't do that, so they just used the little rectangular square plates. So, but with this, all you want to do is, unlike some of these Spartans, this is just a layover. It's not like a two-piece, put it on the front and back. You know, you just take this and put it on top, and it gives it that really nice sort of crimson banished color. And then he does come with the sort of brute miner, as I believe this was a brute miner. I don't think he had a specific rank in the packaging. And then you just want to put this big old spiked shoulder. I really do like the contrast between the brutes, as they have like a big old pauldron, and then the other one is just a spike. Then I'm going to take those legs off, and then take the the leg armor, put those on. Those on right there, and then you put them on like so. And then you have a banished brute. So if you're just buying this for the brute, which I think is also a good buy, obviously $10, $15 isn't the best for just a figure. I think you might also want to use this suit. But yeah, as far as a weapon goes, he comes with a brute mauler, I believe is what it was called. Not painted or anything, as you can see. It's not really painted or anything, but it does have this little flaking, so it looks a little metallic. Not really, but, you know, you don't expect too much from such a cheap little set. As far as special, like, additions or paint applications for the figure, he doesn't have too much. Not, like, painted feet detail or, like, hands or anything. What he does have, though, is metallic silver right here on the bottom of the armor, and then a little bit right here, like a little line on the top. And then for his helmet, I really like this detail. It's like a big old scorch mark, or little scrape mark, which I think is really nice. Yeah, let me get that to focus really quickly. I don't know if it wants to, but you know, it's a little nice scorch mark. I think it looks nice. As you can tell, half of his face is kind of covered by it. It doesn't look too visible at some angles. You know, you kind of do want to, if you actually wanted this to stand out, you might want to paint some silver around, scratch effects. But you can also take off his helmet like I was showing, which is one thing I do like about these brutes and all the Covenant. So I think that's really nice. You know, he does have the non-standard old brute, not Craig face, so that is kind of sad. But, you know, you could just swap him out. And again, a little pinhole right there, hole on the head. I do remember they used to make these pinholes way bigger, and it was like way more distracting if you wanted to have them helmeted off. But as a little comparison, here he is with a Covenant brute, which isn't much of a comparison as they do not share any visible parts, maybe the undersuit. But you can tell the little comparison right there. And then you can compare him to the new Infinite brute. The brute, I think this was just the brute warrior, but I do not have the new Halo Heroes brutes on hand. But again, these don't really share much in common, but I believe that the one from the Conflict Pact does share the, I think it was the legs and the upper armor and the lower arms, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this one is the Crimson version, so you can see how that matches and that fits right there. It is the same, you know, same color, which is good. And yeah, that's gonna be it. I would rate this set 9 out of 10. A little bit more printed detail would have been fine, you know, to give it a little bit more nice effect, like some more weathering, and maybe not reuse the same print, but overall it works fine. The articulation is pretty good. It's like your standard articulation. It's not too bad, and overall, yeah, This was Embrix logging off. Have a good day, everybody.